All right, this week we are continuing our Christopher Nolan miniseries with a film that is
I knew you were going to laugh, and I was trying really hard not to laugh.
Okay, here we go. Take two. Okay, this week we are continuing our Christopher Nolan miniseries, if you will, with a film that, in my opinion, is not mentioned enough in his filmography as one of his classics. It's a film that asks the question, what sacrifices are worth it? It speaks on rivalry. It speaks on progress and change and the fear of that change, and also magic that's in there. We have a great cast of Hugh Jackman and Christian Bale and Michael Caine and David Bowie. Of course, I'm talking about Christopher Nolan's The Prestige, a film that I'm very excited to discuss with you, Zach.
Hunter, you mentioned that this film asks a question. And we're going to talk about that, but I have a more important question that I would like to ask this film, but through you, because I'm talking to you about the film.
Yeah, I'm following.
And that question is, but is The Prestige good? You didn't say anything. Okay. We're professional.
Oh, I love it. Okay, here we go. And cue theme song in 3, 2, 1.
But is it good podcast? Yeah. Hello.
Hello, sir. Are you eating string cheese?
I am. Do you?
Just for all our listeners at home, just so we can point that out.
What I want to do at the top, before we even say who we are, what we're here, do you take the time to pull the string cheese into strings, or do you just eat it? Or
I don't
does it
eat
depend on your
string
mood? Okay. Fascinating.
I'm not a toddler.
String cheese is a healthy snack that an adult can eat. A toddler would choke on this if they tried to shove this down. It would choke.
I feel like I would just eat the cheese.
Cool.
You know what I mean? I feel like I'd just take a bite. I mean, I have eaten string cheese. And when I have, it's just take a bite.
Mm-hmm. When did you eat it? When? Like, how old were you?
I mean, it's been numerous times over the years.
When's the last time?
Probably years ago.
Were you a toddler?
Or I might have had a bite of Hollis's.
Oh, wow. He's less than 2 years old. So that means in the past 2 years you've had string cheese.
So the truth is I'm a liar.
Welcome to the But Is It Good podcast. I am your host, Zach Olson.
And I am your host, Hunter Callahan.
And we're here to talk about a movie.
When we're going to ask the question, but is it good? That's why that's the name
That's
of the
the
that's
thing.
why it's called.
Yeah.
That's why it's called what it is.
That's why we do this.
And if you like the fact that we asked that question, or you like the fact that we're witty and we have good senses of humors and we are Braves fans and things like that, you should review this podcast and give it 5 stars. Or whatever, how many stars you think. You should follow it. You should subscribe, and you should tell your friends. Follow us on Instagram. If you don't like us, then you don't have to do anything, actually.
You can go to your room.
Especially if you're a Mets fan.
I was at the grocery store today, and I saw like 3 people wearing Dodgers shirts. And I just made a little haha joke. I was like, you're in enemy territory, haha. And they were like, yeah, we know, we're from LA. They flew here to go to 3 Dodgers games against the Braves. Isn't that crazy?
I wonder if they're like not, I don't know if reporter is the right word, but you know, do you follow like the battery? What's it called? Battery power, the forum and stuff.
No.
No, there's like I feel like most teams have one, and like ours is called battery power, and I think some of the guys.
Like the blog. Okay, yeah.
And like some of the guys will follow the team, and I know there's one for LA, so maybe it's something like that.
Maybe, yeah.
Otherwise, and we will be at one of those games actually. Me and Zach, yeah, we're going on Tuesday.
Tuesday, yep.
I'm gonna get to see Freddie for the first time in a Dodger uniform.
I'm gonna get to because I've seen Freddie in a Dodger uniform.
Yeah, you saw him the day his first game back, right?
His first game back, it was a big thing. There was this like grown man. I'm a grown man too, but this like grown man next to me just like crying, and he was like, "Someone's cutting onions," and then I was crying too, and it was a big thing. So this time's gonna be different because he's been a Dodger for a year now. Spencer Strider's gonna be pitching, so that'll be fun. And it looks like the Dodgers might go with a bullpen game because they also have a lot of injuries in their rotation.
Yeah.
And they have a starter slated for tomorrow, and they have a starter slated for Wednesday, but no one for Tuesday. So it looks like. But anyways, we'll talk about that stuff during the Braves Minute. We're here to talk about a movie called The Prestige. It's a Christopher Nolan movie. It came out 2006.
This is in between Batman Begins and The Dark Knight, actually.
Yep. I didn't realize that he didn't go like 1, 2, 3 with the trilogy. That he
because he made Inception.
Because he did this,
Dark Knight, yeah.
Right, exactly. So he did, yeah. I was gonna,
and he
have a little sentence, and you took it.
I think he had originally said he wasn't going to do a third one either. So, but we're not discussing Batman. We're discussing his non-Batman films, or a few of them. And Zach, we can get started, and I'm going to ask you this first because it's the inverse of last week where I had not seen the film and you had, and I have seen this movie numerous times and you had not seen this movie. So, your first thoughts on The Prestige?
I was texting you while watching this film, and I was telling you that I'm not into like magician movies. I think they're stupid, like in general. I don't know. I'm just not into like stage magic. Don't
tell Chase.
Hey, Chase can do magic tricks for me all day because it's not stage magic. He's not up there with the trapdoor.
True.
Right? He's giving me like a signed card that shouldn't be in his hand because I signed it and it's in my hand. You know, It's different, right? All that to say, this was brilliant. It's twisty, it's turny, it keeps you guessing. The Christopher Nolan special where the answer is right there at the beginning if you're paying attention. You know what I mean? Which is great. I will say, and this is a non-spoiler section, I have qualms with the with one aspect of the final act, if you will.
Okay.
So
I'm excited to hear that.
Yeah. I mean, I have qualms. It just doesn't make sense to me. Like within his own logic and like with how like not tightly wound, like how like clean all of his other films are. It feels like this one ends a little messy. And when we'll talk about that.
Okay. Yeah, I love this movie. I remember when I saw it, I was like, the hell? You know what I mean? I was just like, what? And my only complaint about this movie, and it's not even one that's really, in my opinion, it's not even a valid complaint. It's that when you watch it again, it's not as exciting. Because you're right. It is like, it's like, how did I miss this? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's so obvious. But I also think it's interesting to rewatch it because there's a lot of real world, like within the film logic that they talk about that explains like what you're experiencing as you watch it too.
Sure.
There's a line where like, Michael, what's his name? Cutter. Well, I'll talk to you later because that's I don't want to get anywhere close to spoilers.
You'll talk to me later. Okay.
I'll talk to
right.
it. I'll talk about it.
All right.
later.
I'm gonna hang up.
Okay. I'll see you later. Okay. All right.
Okay. Bye.
Bye. No, but I think it was great. Again, it's really fun to watch like a small world Chris Nolan movie. That's sort of like a, it's not some grand thing. But I think what it says is really interesting, and the questions that it poses, and there's a lot of subtle but interesting themes that kind of go in it. Like rivalry and the cost of quote unquote greatness. And are those sacrifices worth it? But there's also
You
this,
gotta get your hands dirty.
yeah. But there's also this like false sense of freedom that comes with sacrifice, and what you think you're getting. It's really interesting.
Right.
But this also is one of the only films that he's done that I can think of, besides maybe Tenet recently. And like even Interstellar sort of, but in Interstellar he consulted like quantum physics and astrologists, but this one he takes some liberty with like technology, and he's like, hey, let's make this machine do this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which is interesting. I think it's cool, but it is a little different for him, because if you watch his Batman movies, everything's grounded in reality and like making it possible. And in this, he was like, yeah, sure, why not? Let's have David Bowie show up and do this. But anyway, I loved it.
David Bowie plays a real person from history.
Yes, that is true. And that real person from history, there's a lot of mystery around him and like what he actually accomplished or was accomplishing.
All of his technology and all of his patents are somewhere held by the government. They don't want the public to know because it's too powerful.
It's interesting though. But yeah, I really love this movie. I mean, I love all the stuff, but I think this one unfortunately doesn't get the praise that it should. Let me actually look real quick. It is sitting at...
It's like in the 70s.
It's at 76. I'd give this a little higher, but... oh, crap. That's the end of the podcast, I guess. But anyway, yeah. So it's time for me to do movie in a minute, right?
Mm-hmm.
Movie in a minute.
This is the part of I do the song when you're finding the timer, okay?
I'm sorry.
Movie in a minute. I'm trying to sing the exact same thing that you were singing. Movie in a minute. He's got 60 seconds to talk about a movie.
Ugh.
Movie in a minute. Movie in a minute.
That's not what I said. Ooh, ah. All right. I guess I'm ready. Are you ready to listen to me?
Yeah. Heck yeah. Oh, spoilers ahead.
Oh yeah. For a 15-year-old movie.
Mm-hmm.
So, but
a 15-year-old movie that I didn't know the end of.
That's true. That's true. There are spoilers ahead. This is a twisty-turvy film, so here we go. We're gonna start in 3. It's Prestige in 3, 2, 1. Okay, we see Michael Caine, and he's telling the story about what was it, the Pledge, the Turn, and then the Prestige. I'm not sure what happens, but Hugh Jackman gets a diary. He's reading this diary. Go back in time. Christian Bale, which is I forget their names. Christian Bale and Hugh Jackman. They're working for a magician. They're learning. They're doing this trick. Christian Bale's character ties a knot. Hugh Jackman's character's wife dies. So they had this heated rivalry, one of each other. And then Christian Bale has this trick called the Transporter Man. Hugh Jackman becomes obsessed with becoming a better magician, having a better trick. He goes and finds David Bowie, who's Nikola Tesla. Tesla builds this machine that surprisingly clones him, creates a new duplicate of him. So then Hugh Jackman makes this crazy trick. He kills himself each night, but then a new version appears, and then Christian Bale gets framed for his murder, but then Hugh Jackman's alive. He's like, haha, I'm still alive. And then Christian Bale's like, I have a twin brother, psych, so I'm still alive. And then he kills Hugh Jackman and gets his daughter back. The end.
Brilliant.
That was my best work yet, I think.
Yeah, that was pretty good. The part where you were like, I don't remember what happens, was the part where Borden watches Angier drown.
Yeah, but I
happens
couldn't
at the
remember
beginning.
how. I couldn't remember. I know what it was.
It was that, and then he's in prison, and Lord
Yes.
Caldso, or whatever his name was, gives him the...
Caldo. But Angier is reading his diary, but that is before he gets the machine, right, in the timeline. Because
Well,
what it is
yeah.
is...
Of
yeah,
course, but it's
that's
a
what I was-
non-linear film, Hunter.
No, yeah, no. I was thinking, I knew that he was reading the diary, and that's how he started over. But I couldn't remember where the diary catches up to the film, and then we're like present day.
Okay, I got you.
I did my best, Zach, is what I'm trying to say.
You did really good. You did really good.
You see this? This is my back. Can you get off of it?
You showed me your chest.
I said this. This is my back here.
But okay. Yeah.
That's
there
my
you go.
You see this? Get off.
All right.
Okay.
So now we're talking about the movie proper.
Proper. I haven't seen this one. I'll be here all night. Thank you. I'm a dad.
Where? It's true. Where would you like to begin? At the beginning?
Yeah. Well, can I ask you something first? And it's going to jump right to the... Well, I don't want to do that because that jumps right to the end.
Okay.
Well, yeah, I'll go ahead and ask you. Is that okay with you?
Yeah, it's your episode. I want to do what you want to do.
Well, the burning question that I have is, did the twist land for you?
The twist, the Borden twist, the Christian Bale twist, absolutely 100% yes. I did not see that coming, even though I should have. I had no idea that there were two of him. That was really well done. The reality of how the twist where Angier isn't actually dead and he's Lord Caldlow. Caldlow, sorry. And there's like 100 or like 500 dead hymns in the basement. No, that did not hit for me. I didn't like that. That's the thing that I did not like.
Okay, well, we'll come back around to the beginning, but why not? Because it's like duplicating people, because it's cloning and it's 1800s?
Well, it doesn't feel grounded first and foremost, but if we suspend disbelief and go down that rabbit hole, I don't think it works. Like, it doesn't really make sense to me based on things that happen in the film. Do you want to talk about it now? Like, what would you like to do?
That's fine. Now that we're on it, and I'll circle back because I just want to talk about the twin brother thing, and that can take us back to the very beginning because watching that, knowing that was really interesting to me.
Yeah. So the film. So Cutter's the thing that makes the least sense in this instance, because Cutter is Angier's like engineer, right? Mm-hmm. Is like engineer guy. So he knows that every single night Angier is killing himself. He has to, right? He has to know that because he has to keep getting the vats to put the dead bodies in, because that's like his part of his job, correct?
Yes, but I also, there's a scene where like he's like, I don't want you backstage on this one or something like that.
Correct, on this one, right? Because he didn't want him because he didn't want him to be implicated, and he didn't want him to be part of the trial for the murder, because he knew that Borden was going to come down there. I guess he had spotted him in the crowd. This had happened enough times. Later on in the film, he says, I tried to keep you out of this. I tried to keep you away from this. Correct?
I took that. Yes. I think for me that landed as Cutter didn't know.
There's no way that Cutter didn't know. Where are all the bodies under the stage?
Well, Is
he the only one under Is that his theater? It's not.
Yeah, I think he was doing it in the sense of like, from how I took it.
It's asinine, Hunter. This is insane.
He had like
you trying to defend this is insane. Okay.
He had like all the blind people, but
sure.
But to your credit, like there is like, okay, Cutter knows everything. So
Cutter had to have known, because his job is to like get the props and everything. So why would he be getting like 500 vats of water or whatever the hell, the chamber that they do the escape in? Why would he do that over and over and over again? Or is Angier doing it on his own with fucking blind people? Like, are you telling me that they're like driving and going and picking up all these items and bringing them in? Meanwhile, the owner of the theater has no idea that there's 500 dead clones underneath the stage. Like, it's just insane, okay? But So I need you to accept that Cutter knows what's going on.
all right.
He just
For the
didn't
sake of
go
this
down there.
argument.
He wasn't supposed to go down there that night.
Okay.
I don't want you to come down here for this one because he said that. He didn't say you're not allowed down here ever. He said, I don't want you down here tonight. Okay.
That is true. That is true because if he's, well, hold on a second. Let me, for one last sake of the argument, right? The theater where all the bodies are is not the theater where the show happened.
The fuck are you talking about?
It's not. It's not. They take, at the end, when the theater burns down and stuff, they're at Caldlows. Sorry, Hannah texted me. Hollis is trying to sleep, so I'm going to be a little quieter.
Okay.
Caldlows Theater, and it's like dilapidated and like run down and crappy.
Okay, so who took the bodies out then? If the theater that they're performing at, someone had to take that body.
It's the blind people. Hold on a second, because Fallon sees them, or Fallon, quote unquote, Borden sees them moving these things each night.
So, okay, hear me out here, Hunter.
Okay.
Why does Cutter at the beginning of the movie, which is in between the death and him finding out who Lord Cadlo is, why does he say, we need to get rid of this machine? It's evil. It's real magic. He knows, Hunter.
You got me. Okay. Yep. Fair.
He absolutely knows.
Gotcha. Okay. All right.
So then, if he knows that Angier is killing himself every single
Last
night.
thing. Sorry. Last thing. What if he
Good
just
Lord.
simply? What if he just simply believes that it's transporting him?
But he built the trap door, right? They have a trap door there.
Yeah. Okay. All right. You got
There's
me.
a trap door on the stage.
You got me.
Am I wrong?
Yep. You're right.
And he was there when they were testing it and all this stuff, so he knows what is happening, okay?
But he wasn't there the first test.
No, he wasn't there for the first test, but he doesn't have to be. Just because he didn't see it the first time
All right. Okay.
doesn't mean that he doesn't know what's going on, Hunter.
You're good. I got you. I'm tracking.
So, in that instance, which is true, I will not accept you trying to convince me that that's not true, because he's like, this is an evil machine. Lord Cadlo can't have this. We need to destroy this as soon as possible. Why then, later in the movie, does he say, I saw you die right in front of me? It makes no sense.
Because I don't think he's supposed to know.
No, he has to know, Hunter. He has to. It's an inconsistency which is so unlike Christopher Nolan. That's what I'm saying. There's an inconsistency here.
I think he knew. I think he knew he was doing something like risky and that it was like beyond his understanding. But I don't think he knew he was killing himself every night.
His job is to know what's going on with the tricks. That's literally his position.
Maybe. I suspended my belief in the other direction.
There's no way that he would just like, see, he's always down there. He's like getting his suit on for the next trick, doing all this stuff. And then he's like, when I do the trick with the water thing that's new, it's this different one from yesterday, get the fuck out of here and don't come back. Like, that doesn't make any sense. He would have to do that every night. And they did like, I mean, it's like a residency program, right? So it's Monday through Friday.
They had planned 100 shows.
100 shows,
I don't know
right?
if they ever got to it, but
that's just insane. You can't convince me of that he didn't know, because it's right under the stage with the trap door that I'm sure Cutter built, because that's his job.
well, or was that door already there from like a previous show?
But who's opening it?
But there was a platform.
Also, the whole idea of the cloning thing, I just don't buy. Like, I don't like it.
No, I know. That's so.
I don't like it. But Cutter knew.
Like,
okay, Hunter. Cutter
all right.
knew.
Okay.
He had to have.
Well, that implicates Cutter in letting one of the Borden twins die.
Right. That's right. And it doesn't make sense because he feels remorse, right? He's like, no, I saw you die. There's no way that this is possible. But he had to have known based on everything that we know about his position and the fact that Angier said, not tonight, don't come down here tonight. He didn't say, you're never allowed down here, what are you doing?
So
get out.
He said, I told you, I don't want you backstage on this one.
Yeah.
That's a very vague, because to me, I took that as this trick on this show.
No.
But you took it as like tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
That's right.
We should just call up Chris Nolan and be like, hey, dude. Okay, fair. But I'm fascinated that you didn't see the Borden switch coming.
Why? Did you see that coming?
No. But when I watch it back, hold on a second, no. But I also, when I first saw it, I was like 15. But when I watch it back, I'm like, of course. And Cutter actually says it. He says he's using a double. But there's so many things. There's the, you don't love me today.
I strongly doubt that if you watch this movie again for the first time and you didn't know what was going on, it would be that obvious.
Oh no, yeah, it's not. But that's why I think it's brilliant. Because there's even like a thing where like I think Cutter says it in the movie, where he says something along the lines of like I think it's the very beginning where he's talking about the pledge and the turn and the prestige, and he's saying like something about like, during the turn or whatever, you make something disappear, and he's like you're looking for the secret. Have you figured it out? But then it says, no, you haven't, of course, because you're not really looking, because you don't really want to know. And I think that's what Chris Nolan's doing to the audience, where it's just like, you're not actually looking for, or you're like Angier, where you're like, this can't be the simple answer. I just think that's brilliant. I think that's really interesting, and it's really a masterful filmmaking technique where it's just like, and it happens in so many movies that we don't realize, where the answer is in the first 2 minutes.
Sure.
And it's just like, oh, of course. Or it's blatantly said to us, like Cutter says, like, he's got a double. And then you're like, no, that can't be.
Right.
I thought that was just interesting. I wanted to get your thoughts.
It's interesting.
I wanted to see. I didn't know, because I was waiting for the text from you to say he's got a brother or something,
Oh, I have another coup de grace. Okay. I don't remember at what point it is. It's at the very end of the movie, and Cutter is talking to Angier, and he says, do you remember when I told you that drowning's like going home? It's not, it's agony. Okay. So he knew.
Okay.
He knew.
Okay, at that point, yes, he had to know, because that's after he figured out that he was Lord Caldula, right?
I don't think it was.
I think it was, because they were putting the machine. Yeah, it is, because Michael Caine passes Borden on the street, and that's when he gets shot, and that's when Hugh Jackman gets shot. It's the very end. So at that point, yes, he does know, whether you're right or wrong.
You can't convince me.
You're gonna die.
You can't convince me. Like the logistics of like two blind men.
You know what? Keep talking. I'm gonna Google something.
Two blind men carrying all these vats of dead. Also, where did he get all that money? Like he wasn't that big, was he? Does a stage magician make that much money to become a lord? A lord hunter?
Hold on a second. Yes.
After he blew all his money. Giving it to Tesla, remember?
All right, I'm reading.
It's ridiculous.
Let's see here. All right. So apparently it's implied that let's see here. These I'm trying to see if no one's saying that. It seems like people think that Cutter didn't know.
Huh?
I'm trying to read this, and it's saying that it's implying that people seem to think that Cutter doesn't know. Hold on. Does Cutter know Angier's being cloned? Cutter can't know that the machine is a clone and a teleporting machine. He only knows that it teleports.
But it doesn't teleport. It creates a clone somewhere else.
He thinks that it teleports. But this is actually to your credit in the sense that the movie has a massive flaw if Cutter knows, and you feel like it's not airtight enough to convince you that Cutter doesn't know.
It's impossible for Cutter to not know. It's his job is to be the backstage guy. That's his job, Hunter.
It is true. But I took it as he was kind of kept in the dark.
How?
Because he's saying if he did know that it clones, he wouldn't have testified against Borden, and also wouldn't be surprised that Codlow is Angier. He knows that the machine is dangerous because he believes that Borden must have done something to it when Cutter saw him below the stage. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense. It says, as we clearly see in the movie, it took just seconds for Cutter to find Borden. I think, though Angier kept Cutter out of the backstage, he was managing things left by him, so he could have easily found the trick behind the magic, which was real science, is to curiosity. Oh, okay, so this person was on your side saying that even if he was kept in the dark, he could have easily found something that implied. Interesting. But let's go back to the very beginning. As the movie as a whole.
Does he do a water escape during the show? Like his final show? He does, doesn't he? Because he says, just to tell you how dangerous this is, I once knew a young woman who died performing this very trick. So he does. I'm trying to think why else the water thing would be there, and that's a reason. So you're saying that he did that trick, then a blind man got that thing from on top of the stage, under the stage, with no ramp because it's stairs. We see the stairs. So a blind man carries this thing down the stairs on his own, right? Replaces the lock with a real lock, all so that Hugh Jackman can kill himself every night.
What'd you think of the? Well, yes.
and the like main behind the stage guy, who's supposed to be, who testified in court that he's the only one who knows exactly how the trick works, which is false, apparently. So he gave false testimony in a court of law. It's just ridiculous. We shouldn't have started with this because now I'm going to be stuck on it the entire time.
What'd you think of Tesla? What'd you think of his inclusion in this film? And yes, you can mention the cloning thing, but like, make that last. Like, what'd you think of?
What else is there to talk about?
No, I'm saying like what he represents, the obsession, and like the, because he has a line that I think encapsulates the whole movie where he's saying, you know, the first time I tried to change the world, I was held as a visionary, but the second time I was asked to retire, in the sense of like, and he seems self-aware that his obsession with scientific progress has like basically led him down this road that's he can't come back from now. There's a lot of allusions to. Did you just roll your eyes?
Yeah, I did, because my understanding of Nikola Tesla isn't that he had this obsession that led him down this dark road and led to his ruin. It's that he was blacklisted because people didn't understand what he was doing, and they were more able or more willing to understand wires,
what Edison
transporting, exactly. So his portrayal in the film, I was like, oh, cool, Tesla, this is gonna be awesome, and I didn't really like his portrayal in the movie.
Really?
Yeah.
It's Bowie, though. I mean,
it is Bowie, and I love Bowie, and Bowie did a great job with the script that was given to him. But I don't know. We are talking about the one thing that I don't like about this movie. is the
Okay.
Tesla thing.
Well, let's
And
talk about the things that you do like about this movie.
yeah, and that's the back and forth, the way that they're reading each other's journals, and I don't know. I just think it's brilliant the way that they pop back and forth. The way that they both are obsessed with each other, right? Because it's not just they're obsessed with magic. They're obsessed with their career and like being the best. But they're like routinely going to each other's shows and like sabotaging one another, like on, intent. What are you doing?
I'm pouring my whiskey shot.
Okay. You need one early because of my bullshit.
Yeah. I'm just going to drink the whole bottle. Who do you think is a better magician?
I think that Borden is the better magician because he doesn't need supernatural stuff to do his thing, right? And because Borden is right when they go to the show where the old like crippled guy is
Chinese guy,
is doing the magic tricks, and he's like, no, that's the trick. It's the act. And he's like, why would he be doing that after the show? That's ridiculous. But that is the trick. And that's what Borden is, and that's what Borden does. And if I watched this movie a second time, I think it would be more clear to me when it's because there's two Bordens, right? Mm-hmm. There's like showman Borden, who is good on stage, I think, and then there's the one that's like just not,
Yeah.
But in order to do what he's doing, what they're doing so effectively, they don't just like have like, oh, this is my part and that's your part. They switch off, right? Mm-hmm. Like the other one goes home with Sarah and he doesn't even like her, right?
Yeah.
So that's like a whole part of the magic of it.
Yeah,
and I think that Borden is the superior magician for sure.
Would you say that Angier is a better showman? Well, better than one of them, at least. Of
course, yeah, he's better than one of them for sure. But Borden's trick is unique because he does it first. It's his idea. It's a Angier becomes famous off of another man's trick, I would say.
Yeah, and that's kind of the whole thing at the end where I think he says like it takes nothing to steal another man's trick. And it seems like Angier has this obsession of just like I think he says like I win, like at the end when he like steals his daughter, and he's like I win, and Angier's like this is not this ain't a bloody competition,
right?
And it just became this obsession of, what's funny is it's like. This is going to be so weird. It reminds me of a line from General Hux in The Rise of Skywalker.
Okay, take me on this journey. What?
Where he says like, I don't care if I win. I just want Kylo Ren to lose. Where it's like Angier becomes obsessed with just Borden losing, and he has to be the winner. Like he has to beat him somehow. That it destroys everything. All that matters is no longer being a great musician, showman or magician. It's making sure that Borden loses, and loses everything, and what cost? Like, what's he willing to sacrifice? And it's funny because like Borden has this passion and this obsession, and so devoted to his craft that he only lives half a life, right? Like half the time he's another person and has to be somebody else and doesn't get to see his wife or his daughter, and the other half is tied to a family that's not his and all these things. But on the flip side, they're both willing to share the prestige, right? Like the whole reason Angier's original Transporter Man doesn't work is because he gets jealous of the guy of his lookalike. That he wants to be the one who gets the praise and gets the applause. He's not willing to let that go. And there's a point where he even says, like, I don't care about my wife. I need to know his secret. Like, he becomes so consumed by it. So there is more sacrifice to an extent on Borden's part, and therefore he is the better magician.
He's the better magician.
But still, is that sacrifice worth it? You know, like, is he's not happy, he's not free, he's so constrained. But actually, there's one of the Bordens, sorry, I'm almost done. Even at some point, one of the Bordens even says, like, we're done. Let's leave him alone. Me and you, let's leave him alone. We're done. He can have his trick. And then at the end, when Borden gets hanged, he's talking to Fallon, and he says, like, I'm sorry, like, I should have listened to you. I should have left him alone. You know, I'm sorry. So it seems like at least one of them was like, this is too far. We're done, you know? But anyway, that was a lot of just word vomit. But I think that question of, like, are these sacrifices worth it for the passion, for the greatness? Is it really worth it, you know?
Is it?
What do you think?
Is it worth it?
Who do you think sacrifices more?
Well, Borden B cuts off 2 fingers.
Yep.
Borden A gets 2 of his fingers shot off.
Yep.
Borden, because only half of him loves his wife, she kills herself. Whereas, I mean, Angier is killing himself every single night.
But he implies that he doesn't know if he is. He doesn't know if he's going to be the one who gets transported or cloned.
But it has to be...
It has to be consistent.
Right.
Because with the hat
they do
stays...
There's a bunch of hats. There's a bunch of cats. The hat stays there. So he pushes that button, drowns himself, and then the other guy takes over every single night.
So my issue with this, and this is from somebody who thinks that Cutter doesn't know, like, I'm on that bandwagon. So my issue with it is that when you break it down, he's still not achieving what he so badly wanted. He's still not the guy who gets to have the prestige. Actually, I guess he is for 24 hours. Right? He appears, gets the applause, and then he kills himself that next night.
Yeah, but it's also implied that he has, like, the memories of the other guy, right? So, but how could there be a continuity? See, this is another issue, right? How could there possibly be a continuity in like thought and memory if there's 2 of them? Wouldn't he remember drowning if there was a continuity in thought, or is it a whole new person?
Well, I think that's from how I took it is, it would be like, so the original Angier, Caldlow or whatever his actual name is, because he implies
his name's Angier.
He implies earlier that he changes his name because he wants to save his family the embarrassment. So he might have always been Caldlow, whatever, whoever he is. There's a point where it's the real him, right? He tests the machine. Another him shows up. He shoots him. Right? So it's implied that the one who shot is still the original. Correct?
Yeah, because that was the one standing in the machine. He pulled the...
Yes.
No, because he pulled the lever and then stepped into the machine.
Yeah. Oh. I wonder if it's like...
He pulls the lever and then steps into the machine, and the other clone that pops up was next to the lever and picked up the gun, and he's trying to say, no, I'm the real one, and he gets shot. So that one starts the cycle. Like, I'm quite certain.
Well, let's just say that at that point, the original Angier is still alive, for the sake of my argument. So he knows what it does. He knows how to do the trick. Oh, interesting.
What's
So,
interesting?
From what I would gather is that he does the show, right? He steps onto the platform. He's like, let's do the trick. I'm about to kill myself. He pulls the lever. He's duplicated the original one from the platform, goes into the vat. He drowns to death. The one that's duplicated is transported up to the rafters, to the seats, right?
Which also doesn't make sense because how did he calibrate it to go like there?
I'll give you that. That's true. I guess he just figured it out. But to me, it would be, okay, the one that just became a duplicate has the memories up to the point of transportation. So to him, it would seem seamless.
This is stupid. This is a stupid idea.
Right?
And it's a cop-out because the whole premise of the film, Hunter, is that you present an object, you take it away,
and then you bring it back.
And then you bring it back. And rather than having some really, really cool, like, logical way of doing this, he goes supernatural. And it's stupid. I'm sorry. Like, I love Christopher Nolan, and I really like this film, but this is stupid. And I would say this is a step beyond what Tenet does. And I love Tenet too, but like Tenet, I can follow. Like, it's like, okay, he steps in that thing, he's going backwards. Because like, it works within its own logic. There aren't these little holes there's no cutter. There's no cutter to fuck it all up.
Or there's no question of what's the through line between the duplicates.
Right.
Like,
and that's the premise.
Know?
That's the premise of the film, is that time is moving forward, but for some people it's moving backwards. And like, that's what the film is based on. But the beginning of this film is like, it's telling you, we're going to take you on this journey. We're going to show you something, take it away, and then bring it back at the end. And the way that they do it, it's like he's cutting corners. He's just, let's have a machine that makes clones. I don't.
But with Borden, it's more grounded because they do that with Borden.
Yes,
they
Borden's is good, and that's why I said at the beginning, his twist I really, really like, and they could have done something else with Angier. Honestly, like, it's insane to me. It's crazy that you and other people could possibly think that Cutter doesn't know.
I'm sorry. I shouldn't have started with that.
Oh my God.
Do you think Cutter knew that Borden was going to go kill him? Because he walks right past him. He looks at him, I think, right?
I think at that point, yeah. I think Cutter was on Borden's side at that point. He had gained empathy for him. Yes.
Yeah. I really liked, it's interesting, and this is going back to, I do think Borden's arc is a stronger one. I really liked just all the signs, man, just because there's even at the very beginning where, well, one, Cutter's talking to Borden's daughter, like that's the very beginning of the movie, but when he's talking about tying the knots, and then Cutter's like, I don't get it. Some nights you just don't get it, do you? And it's just, there's so many little things where it's just like, you're this one day, and this the next, and it's like, yeah, because there's two of them. I just think those things throughout the movie are really, really brilliant. Did you think of a young Scarlett Johansson in this movie? I didn't realize that she was in this when I first watched it. Well, I think it's fun seeing, like, for some reason I think seeing like Hugh Jackman and Scarlett Johansson in like a Chris Nolan movie, like. It's just interesting to me. I think it's really cool because he uses a lot of the same actors, obviously. Like, I think Michael Caine is in Oppenheimer, I believe. Maybe not.
And he has actors that he brings back a lot. Mm-hmm. But you notice that he didn't bring Hugh Jackman back because his plotline sucked. Because he went supernatural with it, right? No. I think that Scarlett Johansson and Hugh Jackman both did a good job. I don't think I wasn't like, oh, this is Scarlett Johansson.
Well, I know. And who's the girl?
Sarah, who plays Sarah.
Rebecca Hall. And Andy Serkis. Andy Serkis is Tesla's assistant or whatever.
Yeah, that was cool.
Anyway, yeah, I understand that we rambled on about the plot holes, but I think it's a great movie. I do think it's a great movie. You raised some very valid points, Zach. Some very valid points. I'm not sure if I'm convinced that Cutter knows, but I will give you that the supernatural points are interesting for a Chris Nolan film.
It's an interesting choice, and It's just any other film, it's like we know this is true because we can follow the plot lines, we can line this up like whatever, and we know that this is the case. And in this one, I think it's obvious that there's a plot hole, but at least we can agree that there's room for debate on it, and that's uncharacteristic of Christopher Nolan, is it not?
It is. It is. I'm trying to find
the moment. Like I've been listening to you, but I've been trying to find the moment where he says not this time or whatever he says.
Like looking at the actual movie.
I am watching. Yeah, I'm like going like 10 seconds at a time.
No, it's towards the end. So it's towards the end. It's after he's revealed. It's after Michael Caine finds out that he's called Low.
Are you sure?
I'm almost positive. I'm not positive.
I don't think you're positive either, because I remember when he meets him, he says, "I tried to keep you out of this."
Yeah, just look around there. I'm trying to see some reviews. Not quite Every Movie Sucks reviews, but I'm curious to see if anybody talks about let me see. Any luck? Yes, no. Let's see. Anyway, yeah. While you're doing that, we can wrap it up because we're pushing an hour. We spent a lot of time talking about the plot hole and the ending and the issue with that, but I really did love this film, and I loved it when I first watched it. And watching it back, did you find it?
I found one thing that we were contentious about. Give me a second.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Let me watch it in real time.
I'm gonna finish my sentence so you can do that. I still think it's an underrated Chris Nolan movie. Yes, it does ask you to suspend some belief with the Tesla and the duplicating machine and the transportation man and all that stuff. But I feel like if you can buy into that, it's a lot of fun. And I think it's still a masterful film as far as like misdirection. And I think the Borden twist is really brilliant. But I also think Chris Nolan can do no wrong. So there is that. Did you find it? Maybe. He's looking very intently. He's smiling. What's happening?
I swear, this is like it's filled with so many twists and turns. It's like a different movie than I watched. Because he's standing there, he puts the gun on the thing, right? And he like pulls the lever, and I'm like, okay, he's gonna pop up and he's gonna shoot himself. And no, it's Borden reading a journal. Like, what the hell? Where does he shoot himself? Why would we go away from that?
Oh, gotcha. I'll tell you what I'm gonna do right now.
Okay.
You can do this. I'm not gonna pause it because we'd have to stop it like in Riverside. I'm making a mark of the time. I'm gonna look up news while you do this.
Okay, so I found the dialogue when he's talking about, I don't want you back here. So he says, "I told you, John, I don't want you back here on this one." Here's what I'll say. Here's my last word on the issue. If it was intended to show that he didn't, he doesn't want him back there on this trick, Christopher Nolan could have done this on any other night that he was doing the trick. It happened to be the very same night that Borden goes down there.
Okay.
So it's very confusing, is it not?
So it seems like there was all like this elaborate ruse.
Correct, because he says, I don't want you down here on this one. And then later in the movie, when he's like, "You're alive. I thought you were dead. I saw your body." He's like, I tried to keep you out of this. What I thought he was saying was, I tried to keep you out of the murder thing because I didn't want you down there that night because I didn't want you to be a witness at the trial. I didn't want you to be like blah, 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 right?
Gotcha.
It's just,
you know what my question is?
What's your question?
Sorry, they're making me done. Is they always go to like the other person's show like in disguise, and they always get picked.
Every time. Or do you think that they go like every single night with a different disguise? And
Maybe.
And Christopher Nolan's just showing us the one where they did get picked.
Maybe, because to your point, if this was all part of some elaborate ruse where Angier wanted to frame Borden, he picked him knowing like he would sneak backstage to try and.
Right. That's what I anticipate. That
I could see that.
Yeah. No, that's exactly what happened because this happened every night. But that was the night that. Also, if Cutter if Cutter never goes down there, why did he go down there that night, Hunter? Why did he go down there and yell, "What did you do?" Because
remember he sneaks past and some guy, I guess he's blind. He's like, "Who's there?" And he's like, "I'm part of the bloody act, you fool." And then a second later, Cutter comes by and he says, "Who was that?" And so I think he's knowing that no one else is part of the act. He goes down there.
But he wasn't supposed to be backstage. Because
wasn't supposed to be backstage.
Angier says, clearly, I don't want you backstage on this one. I told you, John.
Okay. All right. But all of that said, I still want to know, but is The Prestige good?
Yeah, it's good. It could have been better. It just could have been better.
All right. Okay. There you have it. So what would you give it? It's a 76 on Rotten
I'd give
Tomatoes.
it a... All right, if we're talking like comparing this to Marvel movies, it's like a fucking 98, okay? If we're talking like in Christopher Nolan's filmography, I think 76 or like high 70s is accurate because it could have been better. Just straight up.
I'm curious. Interstellar has a lower rating.
Okay. That's another film where people probably could be nitpicky about the logic, and we'll talk about that next week, right?
We're doing Interstellar next week, yes. I thought that was interesting. But there you go. The Prestige is a good movie. It's time for Every Movie Sucks. So let's see what everybody has to say about how shitty this movie is. Okay? We'll do a couple, and then we'll go into news and wrap it up. I need a pop filter. You can go first if you've got one.
Sorry, I'm looking at Christopher Nolan's like Rotten Tomatoes page. He was an executive producer on Justice League.
Yep. Also on Man of Steel.
And Batman vs. Superman.
Mm-hmm.
Those are his lowest rated films outside of a film called Transcendence.
I've seen that. It's a shit movie.
Okay. You can go first because I'm pulling up my reviews now, or not my reviews.
Here's one. There we go. Half star. This movie annoys me so much. It's so fucking good. Amazing characters, captivating story, cool twist. But holy shit, the ending made me so angry. I think the fact that it was so good in the lead up was what makes it so bad. I've never been as angry with the ending of a movie as I am as I was after watching this.
I wrote this review. I didn't, but yeah.
Your name is Young Hugo?
Yeah. Yeah. Sadistic Cat says, in the days of old, the twist or trick used to be used in this movie would be called out for the cheap contrivance that it is. But alas, audiences don't expect much from movies anymore.
Oh no, Zach, you froze on my side.
Are you there? Did I lose you? I think I did lose you.
Hold on. Try and talk.
I've been talking the whole time.
Wait, there you are. You're back.
I've been here. What do you mean I'm back?
It froze and I couldn't hear you.
Oh, I couldn't hear you.
Did you finish the last sentence where it says, but alas, audiences don't expect much from movies anymore?
I did, and I'm excited to hear if we were talking over each other, if one of our audio got cut. I would assume since we're uploading to the cloud that, I don't know, we'll see.
I think it's going to be fine.
We'll see.
Let me go see here. Oh, a second. I'm trying. Okay. Here's one. This would be on my... I'll do this one, actually. Half-star, The Row Critic, utterly confusing, enigmatic story flow and editing, which not only degrades clarity, but also nullifies any sense of plot. Film has terrible plot twists, constantly vague story details, and many enormous plot holes and conveniences. Yet another terrible and misleading Nolan film, which suffers also from content rating F.
See, now this person I think is just stupid because it wasn't filled with plot holes, right? Like everything is crisp except for that one aspect, in my opinion.
Okay.
So they're wrong. Anya says, such a huge disappointment. Finally, as a person of the same nationality as the great scientist Nikola Tesla, I was so thrilled that someone managed to bring up his name for his good deeds and discoveries. How I was wrong. Not only did they just scrape the huge meaning of his work in this film, the whole storyline is completely disconnected, complicated, and tastelessly written. From someone as great as Christopher Nolan, you would expect perfection. However, the time has proven that people change for the better.
Okay, fair enough. Here's one. This is from Mday Shyamalama. His profile picture on Letterboxd is M. Night Shyamalan. His name is Mday Shyamalama. I got it. For my next trick, I'm going to make this shitty movie disappear. Get Shyamalan, Jonathan Nolan. That's my last one. That was kind of stupid. You got any more?
Here's a haiku.
Okay.
It says a haiku. There's nothing I hate more than Christopher Nolan or this dumbass film.
On that, we bid Everybody Sucks adieu. Zach, give me a theme song. Shindigs.
It's time for the shindig, yeah.
Amazing. So I'm going to just speed through some news that I just looked up 5 minutes ago. We got a new trailer for Disney's Haunted Mansion. We got a trailer for Extraction 2. Marvel's got some shows coming out, of course. Loki Season 2 will debut on October 6th. Echo will debut on November 29th. John David Washington stars in the new trailer for the sci-fi movie The Creator. Fast X has debuted at 54%. Boo-hoo, so sad. Squid Game reality show will debut in November. Killers of the Flower Moon got a trailer, which I have not watched, but it has debuted at 95%. Zach, how's the trailer?
The trailer has a really good button.
What does that mean?
You don't know what a button is?
I guess
It's
not.
like the last shot of it. It's like the butt end, but they call it the button. It's like the last shot of the trailer that's supposed to like really pull you in. Yeah. And it has a really good one.
Okay, I have to watch it. Apparently, Bradley Cooper was offered the role of Lex Luthor, but turned it down. It's a rumor. I don't know how to say his name. Chiwetel Ejiofor has joined the cast. He plays. He's in Doctor Strange. He's Mordo. He has joined the cast of Venom 3. Zack Snyder has. He's in the news, of course. He had planned to reveal that the old gods in the DC universe were actually Kryptonians, and that Ares was responsible for the crash ship in Man of Steel, and implied that Diana was actually part Kryptonian, because why not? And then, lastly, Indiana Jones 5 had received a standing ovation at the Cannes Film Festival. I keep saying that wrong. And Harrison Ford got teary-eyed and emotional, despite the low debut score of 50%. Rotten. But I still want to see that movie next month. So there you go. There's some news. I whipped it up really quick. I did really bad with news this week, so I apologize. Zach, how are the Braves doing?
I just thought of something else.
What? Oh, God. Okay, tell me real quick, please.
I just thought of something else. Okay, Hunter?
Okay.
So, Borden knows who Angier is, right?
Yes.
Both of them do, allegedly, correct? But Borden B lets Angier up on stage and hold the gun. And then he shoots his brother's fingers off. Like, he hands him the gun. Because he was his engineer.
Oh, well, yeah. Okay. and then Borden, whatever B, on stage Borden recognizes him immediately.
Correct, but the other Borden didn't. How does that make sense?
Maybe just missed it.
So one of the Bordens is an idiot because he tied the wrong knot, right? And he didn't. Maybe that's why he never talks. Anyways,
how the Braves doing?
The Braves are. They're doing well. They've turned it around. We had a 3-game losing. We got swept by the Blue Jays, and then since then,
losing streak, right?
It was a 4-game losing streak, but we got swept by them in a 3-game series. Yeah. Yep. And we are coming off of a 2-game. I can't think. I'm so angry. I'm so angry that you don't agree with me. We just won the series against the Mariners.
Like the first time in like 12 years or something.
Which is crazy, but yes, it is the first time in a long time. And now we are going to be playing the Dodgers for the next 3 days, and that'll be exciting. Win or lose, I love Dodgers series, I love Phillies series, and I love Mets series because those are like our biggest rivals, I would say, right? The Yankees are a big rival, but it hasn't been this big rivalry in since like the 90s and 2000s. The 90s, would you say?
Exactly. Yeah, because we met like in the World Series like I think 2 or 3 times. And for the record, the Yankees mopped the floor with us a couple of times.
Sure.
But for a while there it was Braves and Yankees, and I would say Braves Dodgers is a bigger rivalry as a whole, but because of last year, Mets Braves got reignited in a big way.
Mets Braves is huge. Every night, Hunter, it doesn't matter who you're playing. There's Braves fans making fun of Mets fans and vice versa on social media. It's a whole shitstorm, and I love it.
And since there's a certain date, over the last 162 games, the Braves have actually dominated the Mets. But last year was
over the last 162, it's probably closer than you think. But over the last like 12 games that we've played against each other, it's dominating.
It's like 10-2 or something like that.
Yeah.
But because of the lead up from like 19, 20, 21, the Dodgers series were always so intense. And then for the Braves to finally beat them was like so cathartic. So I'm excited. Yeah. Like I said earlier, me and Zach are going to the game on Tuesday against the Dodgers. And we're actually also going to a game in a few weeks against the Mets.
Yeah, that'll be exciting. I'm excited for both. And I'm probably going to a Phillies game. If you want to go to a Phillies game, let me know because they're like in between. The Phillies are right after the Dodgers, right?
Yeah, that'll be tough because it'll be like my birthday and stuff, and we got plans and everything. But yeah. But anyway, is that it? Do you have more?
No.
Well, Zach, that was very brave of you.
Thanks. It's
time. It's time for whiskey shots.
Oh, sorry. I'll do the thing. Thanks. It's the bravest thing I've done all week. The Phillies series, if you don't want to go to the Braves game, you can just say that to me, Hunter. You don't have to lie to me.
I'm not lying.
Because
I'd love to go to the Phillies game.
the Phillies series is not your birthday. It's the week before your birthday. It's like this Friday. It's Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday this week. That's like we're approaching.
This week. It's just, as you know, it's much tougher for me to go.
Okay, there we go. Hey, the truth. I want the truth, just like Sarah does.
It's not that I wouldn't want to go. I would love to go.
Yeah.
But I also know it's Harvey's week. It's Harvey's birthday on Thursday, so inevitably we're probably doing something too. Which he is home. I'm not sure if I told you that, but he is home.
Good. That's good.
Anyway, whiskey shots. The whiskey. Oh, okay. Hurry up. Now that he's gone, I can tell you guys that I just cannot stand him. That's why I don't want to go to. Hey, Zach, you're almost 30. You have like a week left, don't you?
A week and 3 days, but who's counting?
Oh god.
No, I'm excited to be 30.
Yep, and then me and Trey are next. All right, to whiskey.
To whiskey.
To whiskey. Clink. All right. Where can they find us?
Where can they find us?
Oh,
You.
dang it. You can find us at BIIG Podcast on Twitter. And if you add at Gmail to that, you can email us at biigpodcast@gmail.com. You can follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. I don't post very much, but I'm trying to. At Bud is a Good Podcast. Follow Hunter, that's me, at Hunter Callahan Music. Follow Zach at Zach with an H, to the number, the THA, future.31. And please say hello, like, subscribe. I'm trying to catch up on that stuff. But, tell your friends, all that, all that stuff. Zach, you got anything else to add before we wrap it up?
I have nothing else to add. I would just start ranting about the Prestige again.
And just so everyone's clear,
Would you
Cutter
like-
didn't know.
Would you like that? Cutter knew. Okay. Final word, Cutter knew.
All right, well, there you have it. Interstellar next week. We might have a guest. Maybe not. Maybe yes. Maybe no. Yep.
Yes. We're
That's the plan.
Alec.
Yep, that's the
Alec
plan.
Toth is going to be on. It's not. We
Gonna have
might
a
have a
guest.
guest. We have a guest. I've told you.
We hadn't talked about it besides like once. All right, we have a guest next week. Alex going to join us for Interstellar. And yeah, that's it.
Peace up.
Go Braves. A-Town.
No.
Peace up.
We're gonna try it again.
What? How do I do it?
Peace up.
Okay. What do I do?
You have to say A-Town down. What do you?
Oh, A-Town down. I'm going to end it there. Bye.
But is it good podcast? Yeah.